So we usually celebrate the pragmatist, right? Like when you face a massive logistical problem, whether that's in a company or just in your own life.
Oh, absolutely.
The person who, cuts through the red tape and finds a sensible, culturally acceptable solution, we put them on the cover of magazines.
So we call them innovators.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We reward them for being practical. But today, we are taking a deep dive into an ancient historical crisis that it kind of proves your most practical, seemingly sensible life choices might actually be your deepest moral failures.
Which is just a total reversal of how we naturally think about problem solving. I mean, we are so conditioned to believe that if a solution works, if it keeps the peace, and, if everyone around us applauds it, then it just must be the right move.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a historical reality tied to a very stark biblical verse, which is Hosea 8.5. And our source material today is a theological text that really breaks this down.
Yeah, the backdrop is basically a story of kings, a lot of geopolitical stress, and literally golden idols.
But the implications are aimed directly at modern believers. So our mission for you today is to examine this historical crime scene of the original golden calves in Samaria.
Right.
And we want to reverse engineer the underlying psychology of why human beings constantly manufacture these functional saviors.
Yeah.
And then finally confront this deeply uncomfortable concept of the modern quote-unquote respectable idol.
It is uncomfortable, but to really grasp the weight of that warning, you kind of have to stand in the shoes of a man named Jeroboam.
Okay, set the scene for us.
So we are looking at the period of the divided kingdom of Israel. Jeroboam has just become king of the northern kingdom. He has achieved the ultimate promotion.
Right.
But immediately he faces this geographical nightmare that just threatens his entire reign.
So his theology is basically about to be entirely hijacked by his geography.
That is the perfect way to summarize it, because the center of religious life, the place where the law mandates that every Israelite must travel to worship, is Jerusalem.
And Jerusalem is not in his territory.
Exactly. Jerusalem is located in the southern kingdom of Judah. And Judah is ruled by his rival, Rehoboam, who happens to be Solomon's son.
So Jeroboam is sitting on his new throne, looking at a map, and realizing he is presiding over a massive vulnerability. Like, his people are religiously obligated to cross enemy lines just to worship.
Yeah, politically speaking, Jerusalem is totally hostile territory.
He has to be thinking, if my citizens keep making this commute across the border every time there's a festival, they are going to reconnect with old friends.
Their hearts will soften.
Right, their hearts will soften toward Rehoboam, and eventually they're going to assassinate me and just reunite the kingdom.
The fear is just palpable. I mean, he is operating entirely out of a primal terror of losing his grip on power. So instead of trusting the God who literally just handed him this kingdom, Jeroboam trusts his own political calculus.
He needs to stop the migration.
Right. So he sets up 2 golden calves. He puts one in the far north in Dan and one in the south in Bethel.
He does what, any stressed-out corporate executive would do to retain market share. He opens a convenient alternative branch.
A franchise spinoff.
Exactly, it's a franchise. He places these golden calves strategically and tells the people, and this is wild, he says, look, here are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt.
Yeah, he just rewrites history.
He pitches it to his citizens as this massive win-win scenario, like skip the long commute, worship locally, save your time and your travel expenses.
And he designed it to look incredibly familiar, highly convenient, and completely acceptable to the culture at large.
Right.
And think about how incredibly reasonable that must have sounded to the average person living in the Northern Kingdom then. It was pragmatic.
Sure.
But historically and spiritually, according to the text we're looking at, this event is categorized as a catastrophic rebellion. Jeroboam manufactured a physical solution because he just could not handle the uncertainty of trusting an invisible God with his borders.
Let's dig into the why of that for a second. Why did a golden calf work so well as a substitute? I mean, it's because a golden calf stays exactly where you put it.
Yes.
You feed it gold, you get a god. It is entirely predictable. The living God, on the other hand, is completely unpredictable.
He demands submission. He asks for a blank check, really.
Right. But an idol is something you can manage.
You've just hit on the psychological bedrock of idolatry. It's the mechanism of control. The people of Israel traded the glory of the living God, who, by the way, actually rescued them from Egypt, for a hunk of metal they could see.
Something they could touch and manipulate.
Exactly, because an idol never asks you to change your character.
Yeah.
It never requires repentance. It just sits there and lets you feel spiritual while you maintain total autonomy over your own life.
And that deep-seated desire for a God we can put on a pedestal and just manage, that did not die out in ancient history.
Oh, not at all.
The transition from Jeroboam's physical golden calves in Dan and Bethel to the abstract idols of our modern lives is totally seamless. The source material points out that an idol isn't just a statue you bow down to.
No, it's absolutely anything that absorbs the devotion, trust, time, or affection that rightfully belongs to God.
Which means the most dangerous idols in our lives today are not made of gold or silver.
They are made of ambition, they're made of security, and human approval.
But wait, let me just push back on this on behalf of everyone listening. Because when we talk about modern idols, the text usually lists things like money, career, education, or even our family and our children.
Yeah,
But aren't those inherently good things? Like being a good provider is literally applauded by everyone.
for sure.
Pursuing an education is a societal good.
Uh-huh.
How does working hard at a noble career or sacrificing for your kids suddenly morph into worshiping a golden calf?
It is vital to make a clear distinction here, because you are absolutely right. These are inherently good things. A loving family, a thriving career, a stable home. These are profound blessings. And God often uses these exact things to bring immense good into the world. The shift happens in the psychology of our dependence.
Okay, explain that.
A blessing transforms into a golden calf the very moment you begin to depend on it more than you depend on God.
Oh, I see. It's like trying to find out which pillars in a building are actually load-bearing.
Yes.
You don't really know until you start knocking them down.
Yeah.
Like if you lose a hobby or some secondary interest, you might be disappointed, but your life doesn't collapse.
Right. It wasn't an idol.
But if you lose your job, or say if your child decides not to go to the prestigious college you had planned for them, and your entire sense of self, your whole identity, just collapses into the dust.
Then that was a load-bearing idol.
That was the pillar holding you up.
That is a phenomenal analogy. When the building collapses because one specific pillar is removed, it just proves that you had transferred the weight of your existential security onto that thing. We take these good gifts and we elevate them to the throne of our hearts. We subconsciously start believing that our safety and our worth come from, our beautifully decorated home or our impressive resume.
Or our perfectly curated family image.
Exactly, rather than from the God who gave us the capacity to build those things in the first place.
And because these modern load-bearing pillars are made out of culturally celebrated materials, they are incredibly easy to hide.
So easy.
Nobody looks at a parent who is obsessively micromanaging their child's athletic career and thinks, wow, what a tragic idolater. They think, what a dedicated parent.
Right. Nobody looks at the entrepreneur working 80 hours a week to build an empire and sees a person bowing down to a golden calf. They just see a visionary.
This is the illusion of the respectable idol, and the text makes it clear this is the most terrifying concept we are exploring today because it just thrives on deception.
It really does. A person can have a massive, shimmering golden calf right in the center of their heart and still appear entirely devout to everyone around them.
So here's where it gets, really interesting. Because you can actually use religious behavior to camouflage the idol.
Oh, absolutely.
You can sit in church every single Sunday, you can volunteer for the committees, you can pray before every meal, and you can say all the right theological catchphrases to your friends. But functionally, underneath all of that religious activity, your heart is worshiping your 401k.
Think about how insidious that is. You are going through the motions of worship, but what you really want is for God to basically act as a cosmic butler.
And cosmic butler.
You want him to bless your plans, ensure your investments grow, and keep your family healthy without ever allowing him the authority to actually change your priorities.
We honor him with our words, but quietly, behind closed doors, we are just managing our own kingdoms, exactly like Jeroboam.
Exactly.
We want the veneer of faith, but we want the control of the golden franchise.
It is playing religion while actively worshiping your own desire. And this brings us to the devastating verdict in Hosea 8.5, which is, "Thy calf, O Samaria, is rejected."
Rejected. There is such a heavy, tragic finality to that word.
Yeah.
It's not just that God is disappointed by the idol, he rejects it outright. But we need to explore why it is rejected. According to the text, it's not just because God is jealous in some petty human sense.
No, not at all.
It's because the idol is structurally incapable of doing what you are asking it to do.
Precisely. The golden calf is rejected because it is fundamentally a counterfeit. And counterfeits always fail under pressure.
Always.
Whether your idol is made of molten metal in ancient Dan or made of a prestigious corporate title today, it simply cannot give what only the living God can provide. I mean, a career cannot heal a wounded heart.
Right. Like if you get a devastating medical diagnosis, you can't exactly put your impressive resume on top of the MRI scan and expect it to offer you any real comfort.
Exactly. Money cannot purchase lasting existential peace. Human approval, no matter how many followers you have or how much praise you receive at work, it cannot satisfy the deep human need to be known and unconditionally accepted.
It just can't.
And even your family, as beautiful as those relationships are, they cannot bear the weight of being your ultimate source of meaning. If you demand that your spouse or your children fulfill your soul, you will eventually crush them under the weight of those expectations.
That is so true.
The idol is rejected because it is bound to fail you.
Okay, so if these respectable idols are so completely interwoven into our daily lives, and if they look exactly like healthy, normal ambitions, how do you actually identify them?
That's the real challenge.
Right, because we can't just guess which pillars are load-bearing. We need a way to test the structure before the whole thing comes crashing down on us.
Well, the text actually provides a highly effective diagnostic tool for this. It consists of 4 specific questions aimed directly at the heart.
Okay.
They are designed to completely bypass your religious facade and expose what is actually sitting on the throne of your life.
I want everyone listening to think about these deeply as we walk through them. Like, don't just analyze the questions academically, apply them directly to your own internal life right now. So what is the first one?
The first question is, what do you think about most?
Okay.
Like when your mind is in neutral, when you are driving to work, when you are washing the dishes, when you aren't forced to focus on a specific task, where do your thoughts naturally drift?
That is incredibly revealing because our minds naturally gravitate toward what we treasure.
Exactly.
If my mind constantly defaults to rehearsing a conversation where I felt disrespected, maybe my idol is my reputation. Or if I am constantly running the map on my retirement accounts every time I stop at a red light, maybe my idol is financial security.
Yes. The resting state of your mind is basically a compass pointing straight toward your God.
Wow. Okay, what's the second question?
The second question takes it a step further. What are you unwilling to surrender? If God asked you for it today, what is the one thing that would make you clench your fists, step back, and say, no, you can have my Sunday mornings, you can have a percentage of my income, but you cannot have that.
Oh man, that's right to the core of our desire for control.
Yeah.
The clenched fist is just the universal posture of idolatry.
It really is.
It's the ultimate veto power we try to hold over God.
It is. Now, the third question is perhaps the most visceral of all of them.
Let's hear it.
Where do you run when you are afraid?
We have to camp out on this one for a second.
Hmm?
Because fear strips away all of our pretenses.
Yeah.
It takes this high-level theological concept and just drops it squarely into our daily mundane anxieties.
Yes.
When the panic sets in at 2 a.m., when the email arrives saying the company is downsizing, where's your first reflex to go for comfort?
Because when you are terrified, you just don't have time to posture. You instinctively grab for whatever you truly believe has the power to save you.
Do you run to prayer? Or do you run to your bank account balance to just soothe yourself with the math?
Right.
Do you run to the fridge? Do you open social media for a quick hit of validation just to numb the anxiety? Our coping mechanisms are really just functional saviors in disguise.
That's a great way to put it.
The thing that actually calms your nervous system when you are terrified, that is your functional God.
And that leads directly to the fourth and final diagnostic question, which is, what do you believe you must have in order to be happy or secure?
The ultimate must-have. The thing you believe you literally cannot survive without.
If you fill in that blank with anything other than God, you have found your golden calf.
Right.
If your internal monologue says, I can be happy as long as my children are successful, or I can feel secure as long as I get this promotion, you have basically established a condition for your joy that is completely outside of God's presence.
And this brings us to the ultimate warning from the text, which is aimed specifically at the modern believer. The phrase transitions from, thy calf, O Samaria, to thy calf, O Christian.
Yeah.
It's a direct plea. Do not be deceived by the respectable appearance of your life's ambitions. Just because something is celebrated by the culture, just because it looks beautiful and successful, does not mean it is safe.
Absolutely not.
If it draws your heart's ultimate reliance away from God, it is lethal.
It is a matter of spiritual survival. The prescription here is immediate, ruthless honesty. You have to ask the Lord to actively reveal these hidden structures in your heart.
Yeah.
When you find a load-bearing tiller that isn't God, you have to confess it. You have to open those clenched fists and willingly surrender it. Do not allow the fear of the unknown or the convenience of a modern franchise or that intoxicating pull of human approval to slowly lead you away from the living God.
So what does this all mean for you listening today? We have traced a pretty sprawling, profound journey in this deep dive.
We really have.
We started thousands of years ago with King Jeroboam sweating over his political maps, building politically convenient golden calves in Dan and Bethel just to secure his own borders and protect his own power.
And we saw how that ancient impulse is just perfectly mirrored in our own psychology today. I mean, the human heart hasn't evolved past idolatry. We've just upgraded the materials.
Exactly. We still desperately want a God we can see, touch, and control.
We do.
We brought it all the way to our own carefully constructed lives. The careers, the bank accounts, the flawless family images we cling to for dear life. But the ultimate warning is a direct, unfiltered address. Thy calf, O Christian, has been rejected.
It has been rejected because it is a counterfeit that will inevitably crack under the weight of reality.
It cannot save you, and it cannot sustain you.
No, it can't.
And that brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. We know, based on all of this, that these respectable idols will eventually disappoint us. They simply cannot protect us from every trouble, and they definitely cannot heal a broken spirit.
Right.
So I want you to think about this right now. When your carefully planned, highly respectable golden calf finally breaks down, when the career stalls, when the money isn't enough, when the relationship fractures, and it completely fails to give you the peace it promised, is that moment of devastating disappointment actually a tragedy? Or is it the exact painful wake-up call you desperately need to finally discover where your true security actually lies?